Then make the hair. After completing it, attach the crown. Start by making the hair from the scalp. Crochet the scalp and hair springs first. Finally, secure and shape it at the same time. Start by learning how to crochet the scalp. Use the magic ring method. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise. The method is similar to crocheting the head. The number of stitches in the first round is slightly more. In the second round, you need to crochet into the front half of the stitches when picking them up. There will be small horizontal bars left at the back. The stitch techniques and methods have been demonstrated before. Everyone can refer to the chart. Once you've crocheted all the way down, the scalp is done. After completing this part, there's no need to fasten off the yarn yet. That concludes the explanation of crocheting the scalp. Next, we'll crochet the hair springs. There are 2 layers in total. The first layer is crocheted in the second round of the scalp. The second layer is crocheted on the remaining half stitches of the first round of the scalp. No new stitch techniques are used here. Please watch as I demonstrate the specific crocheting method. Let's start with the first strand of the first layer. Continue crocheting using the same yarn from the scalp. Begin by crocheting 51 chains. After completing, refer to the chart where it says, second to last stitch. This means you start crocheting from the second to last stitch. Count backwards from the side of the hook. 1, 2. This is the second to last stitch. Note that the loop on the hook does not count as a stitch. Insert the hook into the back loop of this chain. Like this strand here. Work 1 slip stitch. There's no specific requirement for the yarn over method in this slip stitch. Do not tighten this slip stitch. Then pick up the back loops of the chains. Correspondingly, crochet 4 slip stitches for each one. Crochet 30 single crochets next. After completing, crochet 7 double crochets. Then crochet 3 half double crochets after that. After finishing, work 5 single crochets correspondingly. Continue down to the position of the head. Mind that the side with the neat stitch texture faces you. This is the right side. On the adjacent single crochet, at the stitch position, where the slip stitch was previously inserted, make 1 slip stitch. You need to tighten here. This completes the first hairspring. The hairspring will naturally roll here. It's a natural phenomenon. Move on to crochet the second hairspring. The method is identical to the first hairspring. Start by crocheting 51 chains. After completing, start from the second to last stitch. and refer to the previous work or the chart. To crochet the corresponding stitches, I won't go into detail here. After completion, slip stitch on the leftmost stitch of the scalp. Pull tight. The second hairspring is now completed. The crocheting method for the following 3rd to 14th hairsprings is exactly the same as the first two. The stitch count for the remaining 15th and 16th hairsprings will change, making their length slightly shorter. For specifics, everyone can refer to the table. The slip stitch at the end of each hairspring is crocheted into the adjacent stitch on the left side of the scalp, and make sure to tighten it. From here on, you can finish the remaining hairsprings by yourself. So, that concludes the crocheting method for the first layer of hairsprings. You see, this is what the first layer looks like when it's done. Next, continue crocheting the second layer of hairsprings. First, locate the circle of small horizontal bars on the wrong side. Insert your hook into the position of the small horizontal bar at the bottom left. Insert upwards from underneath. Here, you just need to start at a position roughly corresponding to the first layer of hairsprings. Then work one slip stitch. The slip stitch doesn't need to be tightened. At this point, you've brought the yarn to the position for the second layer of hairsprings. Moving forward, you can refer to the chart. One small horizontal bar corresponds to crocheting one hairspring. Pay attention, the slip stitch at the end of the first hairspring should be worked into the starting horizontal bar. For the subsequent hairsprings, they are all worked into the adjacent horizontal bars on the left side. The stitch techniques and methods have already been demonstrated earlier, so I won't go into detailed explanations here. You can proceed to complete the crocheting of the second layer of hairsprings on your own. After completion, fasten off the yarn. Tie a knot with the beginning and ending yarn tails for a slight secure. Trim the remaining yarn tails shorter. Place them on the back side of the scalp. That's it, the second layer of hairsprings is now completed. Next, secure the hair and create the hairstyle at the same time. Align the center of the scalp with the center of the head. Here, there are 2 short hairsprings from the first layer. Pay attention, it's the layer on the top. Place it between the corner of the eye and the ear. Flush against the ear position. Use glue to secure it in place. Then take the 2 short hairsprings from the second layer. Position the starting point close together. First, secure the forehead area with glue. Press to make sure it's secured well. Then one on the left and one on the right. The ends should rest on the 2 already secured hairsprings. Secure them with glue. Mind that the placement on both sides should be symmetrical. Then take from the second layer the 2 longer hairsprings adjacent to the short ones, and pick them out. Leave them untreated for now. You can tie a knot on them first. Next, take the remaining 2 layers of hairsprings, following the curve of the head, and place them at the back of the head. Arrange them neatly between the 2 ears. Round the edges below the ears. Secure with pins. Pay attention to the even distribution of the hairsprings. Keep the overall texture consistent. After completion, secure them with glue. Here, fix them around the area just below the ears. You can also make specific adjustments according to your preference. The hairsprings close to the head must be glued securely. The method is quite simple. You can complete it on your own. After all the hairsprings on the top are fully secured, tidy up the ends of the hair. Let them bend naturally. You can also determine the specific shape according to your preference. After completion, let down the 2 strands of hair that were reserved earlier. Follow the arc of the fringe on the upper layer, and glue it behind the ears. Secure it with glue. Then, at the back of the head, cross them. Secure with glue. This completes the fixation of the hair. Next, install the crown. Use glue directly. Secure the bottom end to the top of the hair. Press firmly. This way, the crown is installed. Below, install the decorative elements for the hem. Pick up the golden curved strip. The side with the curve is the right side. Make sure the right side faces out. Then place it on the last few rounds of the hem. Start from the side with the slip stitch marks. Close together the bottom two edges. Use glue to attach it. Here, the curved strip should stick close to the fabric and remain flat. When you reach the starting position, overlap a bit. Trim off the remaining part. Now the hem decoration is attached. Next, work on the body decorations. From the position, divide it into three parts: the front band decoration, the waist decoration, and the skirt hem decoration. Here, from inside to outside. Start by making the skirt hem decoration. First, pick up the corresponding yarn. Use the color that matches the crocheted area of the body here. I'll demonstrate with a different color. Take about 1 meter. Pull out one strand. Insert it into a thin needle, and set it aside for later use. Then, pick up the fabric. The side with the wavy pattern should face down. Here, the side where the wave segments are dense and full is the right side of the fabric. The wrong side shows the yarn. Match the edge of the wave with the edge of the hem decoration. Pay attention that the wrong side of the body should face up. This makes sewing more convenient. Secure a few points with pins. Make sure the fabric is close to the body. Keep it flat. Here, the patterns at the beginning and ending of the fabric should overlap as much as possible. If it's really not possible to overlap, you can leave a part. Then cut off the remaining part. Match the top to the body at the position with small horizontal lines. Then cut off the remaining part. After completion, sew together using the prepared needle and thread. Here, natural pleats will form on the top. Pay attention to distribute them evenly. Sew along the circle with horizontal lines down the body. There is no specific requirement for the sewing method, as long as it's secure. Start by leaving a little bit of thread. After completion, for extra security, you can all sew it again using the same method. I won't demonstrate this part here. Finally, bring the thread back to the starting position. Tie the beginning and ending yarn tails into a knot to secure them. Then hide the excess thread inside the fabric. You can trim the extra fabric at the top here. The method is simple, so I won't demonstrate it. Next, attach the acrylic decoration. Pick up the blue acrylic decoration. Position its pointed end facing upward. Then locate the center front of the body. At the highest point of the fabric where there is a leaf, install the acrylic stone here. Then find the centered one among the 3 leaf patterns. And attach the acrylic stone. The tip should also face upward. This is equivalent to skipping 1 leaf pattern. Move downward, skipping 1 leaf pattern respectively. Install the acrylic stones from the front side toward both sides. When you encounter overlapping beginning and ending positions, you can decide whether or not to install an acrylic stone based on the situation. This completes the installation of the acrylic stones. Finally, sew and secure along the overlapping part of the fabric. Here, only sew the fabric. Be careful not to sew onto the body. Leave a little yarn tail at the start. After completion, follow the previous sewing line back. Sew again in the opposite direction. Finally, thread the needle back to where you started. Tie a double knot with the yarn tail to secure it. Trim any remaining tails. This completes the decoration of the skirt hem. Next, let's work on the waistband decoration. It consists of a crochet piece, lace trim, and circular lace edging. First, crochet and attach the piece. After finishing, attach the remaining 2 trims. Let's start by crocheting the piece. Begin with a chain. Work back and forth in rows for the first section along the starting chain. Then, crochet the edging along the top edge of the first section. No new stitches are used here. Please watch me demonstrate. Pick up the corresponding yarn. Start with a chain. Leave a 25-30 cm tail of yarn here. We'll use it later for sewing. Wrap the yarn around your left hand. Place the hook underneath the yarn. Wrap the yarn counterclockwise. There's a loop on the hook. Pinch the crossing point of the loop with your left thumb and middle finger. Position the hook to the left of the yarn. Yarn over, hook out. This slip knot doesn't count as one stitch. Tighten it slightly. Start crocheting chains downward. Refer to the chart for the exact number of stitches. After completing, make 3 beginning chains. These 3 chains count as 1 double crochet, then move to the 6th chain from right to left. Pick up the front loop and make 2 double crochets. Chain 1. Make another 2 double crochets in the same spot. I consider this stitch pattern as group 1. Work 1 chain for spacing. Skip 3 chains to the left. On the next chain, pick the top half loop and crochet 1 group 1, that is 2 double crochets. One chain, 2 double crochets. To complete group 1. Then work 1 chain as an interval. Below, skip 3 chains. And make 1 group 1. Continue skipping 3 chains each time and make 1 group 1. With 1 chain between each group 1. Repeat this process. Keep going until there are 2 chains left. Finish this group 1. There will still be 2 chains left below. Skip the first one on the left side, and work 1 double crochet in the last chain. That completes the first row. Now move on to the second row. Start with 3 chains as the beginning chain. This counts as 1 double crochet. Then turn over. Pick up the chain space from the motif on the left row. Work 1 group 1. After completing, leave a space of 1 chain as an interval. Then pick up the chain spaces from the previous motifs. Work the corresponding group 1. Be mindful not to pick up the spaces between the motifs. Leave 1 chain as an interval between each group 1. Finish crocheting the last motif position. Pick up at the beginning chain spot below. Here, pick up the top 2 strands of the highest chain. Insert the hook and work 1 double crochet. That completes the second row. Continue to the third row below. Start with 3 chains as the beginning chain. This counts as 1 double crochet. Then turn over. Pick up the chain space from the motif on the left. Work 3 double crochets. One chain. Work another 3 double crochets in the same hole. I consider this as motif 2. Work 1 chain as an interval. Then pick the chain space from the adjacent motif 1. Work 1 motif 2, that is, 3 double crochets. One chain. 3 double crochets. Finish motif 2. Work 1 chain as an interval afterward. Then pick the chain spaces of motif 1 respectively going downward. Crochet motif 2. 1 chain interval between motifs. Finish this motif. Go down to the beginning chain position. Pick the top 2 threads of the chain. Work 1 double crochet. This completes row 3. Below, work on row 4. Start with 3 chains as the turning chain. Turn over. Then pick the chain space of the motif on the left. Crochet 6 double crochets. After completion, there is a 1 chain interval. Later, pick the chain space of the motif. Correspondingly make motif 2. There is a 1 chain interval between motifs. Repeat this process until there is 1 motif's position left. Upon reaching the corresponding position, work 6 double crochets in the chain space of this motif. Finally, on the topmost chain of the beginning chain, pick up 2 strands and crochet 1 double crochet. This completes the 4th row. Since the starting position for the next row has changed, break the yarn. Do not deal with the yarn tail for now. Continue to the 5th row. Face the wrong side of the previous row towards yourself. The yarn tail from breaking the yarn is located on the right-hand side. Then find the chain space between the 2 motifs on the edge. Join the yarn here. Then make 1 chain as your beginning chain. Next, pick up the chain space of the motif on the left. Crochet 9 double crochets. I consider these 9 double crochets as motif 3. Crochet 1 chain for an interval. Pick the chain space of the motif on the left. Work 4 double crochets. One chain. Work another 4 double crochets in the same space. I consider this as motif 4. Then crochet 1 chain as an interval. Next, pick up the chain space of the motif on the left. Correspondingly make 2 motifs 4, with 1 chain as an interval between them. After completing, add 1 chain as an interval in the adjacent motif space. Correspondingly make 1 motif 3, which is 9 double crochets. Finally, pick the chain space in the adjacent interval. Work 1 slip stitch. No need to tighten. This completes row 5. The starting position will change for the next row. Break the yarn. Next, we'll work on row 6. Crochet on the right side of the previous row. Locate the space between the first 2 motifs. Join the yarn here. Then make 1 chain as your beginning chain. Pick up the chain spaces of the motifs moving left. Work the corresponding group of stitches for motif 3, with 1 chain as the interval between them. Continue crocheting until there is 1 motif position left. After completing, pick up the chain spaces in the intervals below. Work 1 slip stitch. Do not tighten. Finally, cut the yarn. This completes row 6. Thus, the first section is also completed. Proceed to crochet the edging. Place the right side of row 1 facing you. That is, the side with neat stitch textures. The yarn tail from the beginning chain should be on the left. Then locate the right side of row 1. There are 5 chains here. Pick up the second chain from the bottom going upwards. Pick up 2 strands to join the yarn. Here we use gold thread for crocheting. Start with 1 chain as your beginning chain. Work 1 single crochet in the same position. Pay attention to weaving in the yarn tail. Then pick up the large chain space on the left. Work 2 single crochets. Pick up the top of the beginning chain. At the insertion point for the adjacent row of double crochets, work 1 single crochet. Pick up the entire position of the next double crochet stitch, and work 2 single crochets correspondingly. Work 1 single crochet at the position corresponding to the double crochet stitch. Pick up the large chain space at the turning chain position, and work 2 single crochets. At the insertion point for the adjacent row of double crochets, work 1 single crochet. Work 2 single crochets at the next double crochet position below. Work 1 single crochet at the double crochet stitch position. Move down to the pattern set location. Pick up each double crochet stitch separately. Work single crochets evenly and correspondingly. Pay attention to weaving in the yarn tail. At the chain space separated by intervals, work 1 single crochet correspondingly. Move down to the turning chain position of row 5. Pick up the chain space of the beginning chain. Work 1 single crochet. At the pattern position behind, pick up each stitch and work single crochets correspondingly. For the chain spaces at intervals, work 1 single crochet correspondingly. At the adjacent turning chain positions, work 1 single crochet correspondingly. Further back at the pattern set, pick up each stitch and work single crochet separately. Work 1 single crochet at the interval chain spaces. Upon reaching the slip stitch position, pick up the hole underneath the braid formed by the slip stitch. Make 1 single crochet. At the back in the interval, pick up the hole and work 1 single crochet. At the pattern set, pick up the stitch and work a single crochet. Correspondingly at the slip stitch position, work 1 single crochet. For the chains at intervals, work 1 single crochet correspondingly. At the pattern set, pick up the stitch and work a single crochet correspondingly. Further back at the edge of each row. Here is the beginning chain. Pick up the 2 strands of the 3rd stitch. Work 1 single crochet. At the back, pick up the entire beginning chain and work 2 single crochets. Move backward and pick up the double crochet position and the beginning chain position respectively. Correspondingly, work 3 single crochets. The insertion method is identical to the other side. Reach the starting point. Pick up the insertion point for the double crochet, work 1 single crochet. Finally, fasten off the yarn. Hide the yarn tail on the wrong side. This completes the edging. At the same time, the crocheting of the fabric piece is completed. Once the crocheting is finished, proceed with the assembly last. Place the first row of the fabric piece with the right side facing up. Position the beginning and ending at the center front of the body, in a centered position. Then, use the reserved yarn from the start to sew along the decorative edge of the skirt. There is no specific requirement for the method, just make sure it's secure. You can use pins to fix a few points for stability. This will prevent it from moving out of position. After completing, continue with the sewing. Once done, hide the yarn inside the fabric. You can hide a few more stitches if you like. Then remove the pins. This way, the fabric piece is attached. Next, attach the lace trim. Cut the yarn used for crocheting the first section of the piece. I'll demonstrate with another color. Take about 1 meter, pull out one strand, thread it into a thin needle, align the yarn end and tie a few knots. Then pick up the lace fabric. There's no right or wrong side here. Place the side with neat segments facing up. Position it along the edge of the fabric piece. Then sew along the starting chain of the fabric piece. There's no specific requirement for the sewing method, just make sure it's secure. Start by sewing a few stitches to hold it in place. Then fold a pleat of about 0.5 centimeters. Sew it together. After that, leave some space, and then create another pleat. Repeat this process until you reach the other side of the fabric piece. Once the edge is fully sewn, trim the remaining fabric. Then sew 1 or 2 more stitches to secure it. Finally, hide the thread on the wrong side of the fabric. You can weave in a few more stitches if needed. Make sure to hide the starting yarn tail inside the fabric as well. That's it, your lace trim is now attached. Next, we'll move on to making and attaching the circular trim. Pick up the working yarn from the first section of your crochet piece. I'll demonstrate using a different color for clarity. Take a long tail end. Pull out one strand after. Insert it through the thin needle. Set it aside for later use. Then pick up the tool. There's no need to distinguish the right or wrong side here. Place the longer edge horizontally. Pinch them together. Then follow the curve of the crochet piece. Wrap around once underneath. Position the beginning and ending on the back of the body. Then use pins. Evenly mark 6 points for reference. The beginning and ending of the tool should overlap at one of the marked positions. After completing, cut off the excess fabric. Next, use the needle and thread prepared earlier. Sew a few stitches at the marked positions to secure it in place. Start by securing the beginning and ending positions. Here you need to attach it firmly to the body. Begin by leaving a little yarn tail. To ensure it's secure, you can sew a few more times for extra security. After completing, tie off the beginning and ending yarn tails to secure them. Cut off any excess tails. If there's overlapping fabric from the beginning and ending, that doesn't fit well, and it cannot be secured at the next fixing point, you can trim it shorter. Continue downward using the same method, at each marked position. Secure them individually. The method is quite simple. I will not repeat the demonstration. After completing, use the lace trim fabric. To make a bow, pick up the fabric and first fold it into the shape of a bow. The sides of the bow should not be too large. Here, about 1.5 centimeters wide is fine. After finishing, leave a little fabric at both ends. Cut it off. That's how you make a bow. After completion, use glue to attach it to the previously designated tool placement. Finally, at the middle of the bow, use glue to attach a yellow acrylic button. Here, position the two holes of the acrylic button horizontally. Moving forward, follow the same method to attach bows at each tool securing spot and install the acrylic button in the middle of each bow. Place an acrylic button in the middle of the bow. The technique is simple. I will not repeat the demonstration. This concludes the explanation of the circular lace trim. Next, we will create the placket decoration. It consists of gold patterns and lace fabric. Start by embroidering the gold pattern, then attach the lace fabric. Pick up the gold thread, cut a long piece of yarn tail, thread the needle. Then, from behind the body, insert it into the third round from the end of this color section. In the centered position, pull the yarn through. You can exit either through a stitch hole or between the stitch patterns, as long as it's in the middle. Leave a little yarn tail. Then at the two circles above, skip 5 stitches on both sides. And from the hole where you exited, sew twice with the thread, creating a V-shaped pattern. Arrange the line segments neatly here. Then continue below. Embroider a V-shaped pattern. There are 2 rounds of space between the patterns. At a position 2 rounds below, embroider another V-shaped pattern. Finally, bring the thread back to the starting position. Tie off the yarn tail, and hide it inside the fabric. This way, the golden pattern is embroidered. Move down and pick up the lace trim fabric. Align downward from the hand position to just above the skirt waist lace trim. Then cut the corresponding fabric piece. Cut another piece of fabric with the same dimensions. I won't demonstrate this part here. After completing, use glue to attach it. Place the wavy side of the fabric toward the front of the body. Cover a portion of the golden pattern. Then glue it flat below the hand. Attach the other side using the same method. Make sure the wavy sides are all facing inward. The method is pretty simple, so I won't demonstrate it. That concludes the explanation of the bodice decoration. Next, let's make the necklace. First, cut a piece of gold thread. Then apply glue at the bottom of the last few rounds, where no increases or decreases were made on the body. Wrap the gold thread around 4 to 5 times. Place the beginning and ending of the thread at the center front of the body. Cut off the excess tail. Next, at the beginning and ending positions of the thread, horizontally attach a transparent acrylic diamond. Secure it with glue. That completes the necklace. Now, the entire decoration section has been explained. Finally, fix the hem to the body of the music box. Use glue to hold it in place. Attach the hem just above the protruding circle on the music box. The back side doesn't need to be fixed. The method is straightforward. I won't demonstrate it further. Up to this point, the entire process of making the toy music box has been fully explained. If you have any questions during the process, don't hesitate to reach us via our website. Susan's Family, supporting your handwork experience, sharing the joy of life. Thank you all for watching. We will see you in the next episode.